The crystal champagne flute shattered in my hand, sending shards across the marble floor of my brother's new mansion. Blood trickled down my palm, but I barely noticed. My eyes were fixed on Jessica's face as she announced her pregnancy to our stunned family gathering. I'm Maya, and I know when someone is lying. 15 years of raising 3 boys has given me a sixth sense about deception. The way Jessica's fingers twitched against her designer dress, how her smile never quite reached her eyes. Everything screamed false. Congratulations! Mark, my husband, stepped forward to hug Alex while shooting me a warning glance. He knew my tells too. The slight tilt of my head, the way I pressed my lips together, signs I was about to say something I shouldn't. This calls for more champagne, Alex declared, beaming with pride. My brother, the successful tech entrepreneur, finally getting everything he wanted. A baby to complete his perfect life. Tyler, my middle son, appeared at my side with a napkin. Mom, you're bleeding. His quiet voice anchored me back to reality. I wrapped the cloth around my palm, watching the red bloom through the white fabric. When are you due? I asked Jessica, keeping my voice light. She hesitated for a fraction too long. March, she said, one hand resting protectively over her still flat stomach. Wrong move. I'd been pregnant 3 times. No woman that early touches her stomach that way unless she's acting. Ryan, my eldest, was watching the exchange with narrowed eyes. At 18, he had inherited my bullshit detector. Lucas, my youngest, had already retreated to a corner with his phone, typical 14-year-old behavior. We should toast, Mark announced, trying to diffuse the tension crackling through the room. To Alex and Jessica's growing family. Everyone raised their glasses except me. I was too busy watching Jessica's face as she pretended to sip her champagne. The glass never touched her lips. Actually, Alex cleared his throat. We have another announcement. He glanced at Jessica, who gave him an encouraging nod. We've been thinking about adoption, too. Having a bigger family, maybe? The room went silent. I felt Mark's hand squeeze my shoulder. We thought, Jessica continued, her voice honey-sweet, that since you have 3 wonderful boys, Maya... She let the sentence hang there, heavy with implication. The cut on my palm throbbed. What exactly are you suggesting? Nothing concrete, Alex jumped in. Just floating the idea. Ryan's heading to college soon and we have so much space here. Stop. The word came out sharper than I intended. Just stop right there. Maya, Mark warned softly. But I was already moving toward Jessica, who took an involuntary step back. First a miracle pregnancy, now you want one of my sons? What's your game? I don't know what you mean, Jessica's voice wavered. We just want to share our blessings. Bullshit. The word echoed through the massive living room. You've barely spoken 10 words to my boys in the 2 years you've been with Alex. Now suddenly you want to play mom? That's enough. Alex stepped between us, his face flushed. You're out of line, Maya. Am I? I looked at my brother, really looked at him. The dark circles under his eyes, the slight tremor in his hands. What's really going on here, Alex? Before he could answer, Jessica suddenly pressed a hand to her mouth and rushed from the room, the perfect excuse to end the conversation. I should check on her, Alex muttered, following his wife. Mark came up behind me, wrapping an arm around my waist. Well, that was quite a party. I watched my 3 sons huddled together, whispering. Ryan's protective stance, Tyler's concerned frown, Lucas's defiant glare. My boys. My family. Something's not right, I said quietly, and I'm going to find out what it is. Just don't do anything rash, Mark replied, but we both knew it was too late for that warning. The game was already in motion, and I intended to win. 3 days after the disastrous pregnancy announcement, I stood in Alex's empty kitchen, staring at the prescription bottle I'd found hidden behind the coffee maker. The label had been partially scratched off, but I could make out enough to know these weren't vitamins. Looking for something? Jessica's voice made me jump. She leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching me with those calculating eyes. I held up the bottle. Fertility medications, interesting place to keep them. You shouldn't snoop through other people's things. Her voice was steady, but her fingers dug into her arms. And you shouldn't lie about being pregnant to my brother. The silence stretched between us like a rubber band about to snap. From the living room, I could hear Mark and Alex laughing about something, the sound jarring against our tension. You don't understand, Jessica finally said. Alex needs this. Needs what? A fake pregnancy? Or one of my children? She moved closer, lowering her voice. He's sick, Maya. Really sick. The doctors gave him 6 months, maybe less. The bottle nearly slipped from my hand. You're lying. Am I? Why do you think he's so desperate for an heir? For family? Her perfect mask cracked slightly. He won't tell you because he can't stand the idea of you pitying him. If this is another manipulation, Ryan already knows. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? Your perfect eldest son has been spending time with us, helping Alex get his affairs in order. He understands what's at stake. My phone buzzed. A text from Ryan. Coming over to Uncle Alex's. Need to talk to you. You stay away from my son, I hissed. But Jessica just smiled. He came to us, Maya, because he sees the bigger picture, the legacy Alex could leave him, the opportunities. The front door opened and Ryan's voice carried through the house. Mom? In here, I called, not taking my eyes off Jessica. Ryan entered the kitchen, freezing when he saw us. At 18, he looked so much like Alex at that age, the same determined jaw, the same ambitious glint in his eyes. I see you two are talking, he said carefully. Your aunt was just explaining how you've been helping Uncle Alex. The words tasted bitter. Behind my back. Mom, don't. I held up my hand. Just tell me if it's true, about Alex being sick. Ryan's silence was answer enough. Jessica slipped past us, pausing at the door. I'll give you two a moment. Once she was gone, Ryan slumped against the counter. I wanted to tell you, but Uncle Alex made me promise. How long have you known? 2 months. He collapsed during one of our lunch meetings. I drove him to the hospital. The bottle in my hand suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. And the adoption idea? Was that yours or hers? His. He wants to make sure his company stays in the family. Jessica, she just wants what's best for him. I laughed, harsh and hollow. Best for him or best for her? Why do you hate her so much? Because she's lying about something. I can feel it. I set the bottle down carefully. And now she's using you to manipulate this situation. Nobody's using me. Ryan straightened, looking more like his uncle than ever. I'm making my own choices. Are you? Or are you just seeing dollar signs and opportunities? The moment the words left my mouth, I knew I'd gone too far. Ryan's face hardened. You don't get to judge me, not when you've spent years telling us to look out for family. Well, Uncle Alex's family too. He stormed out, leaving me alone with the damning evidence of Jessica's deception and the weight of too many secrets. Mark appeared in the doorway. Everything okay? Ryan just left looking pretty upset. I picked up the fertility medication bottle and handed it to him. We need to talk about Alex, Jessica, and what they're really planning for our family. His eyes widened as he read the label, then looked at me. What do you want to do? First, I'm going to find out exactly what kind of game Jessica's playing. Then, I took the bottle back, clutching it tight. I'm going to make sure she loses. The private investigator's file landed on my kitchen table with a dull thud. Jessica Mitchell doesn't exist, he said, at least not before 2019. I flipped through the documents, each page revealing another lie. What was her name before? Sarah Winters, then Rachel Cooper, then Elizabeth James. He tapped different photos, showing the same face under different names. She's got a pattern. Wealthy men, short marriages, generous divorces. My coffee went cold as I absorbed the implications. 3 previous marriages, each ending with substantial settlements. Each husband mysteriously ill during the divorce proceedings. My phone buzzed. Tyler. Mom, something's wrong with Uncle Alex. At hospital, come quick. The drive to the hospital was a blur of red lights and racing thoughts. I found Tyler in the waiting room, his usual calm demeanor cracked. He collapsed during lunch with Ryan, he said. They won't tell us anything because we're not immediate family. Jessica's in there with him. Where's your brother? Ryan's, with her. The way he said it made my skin crawl. I spotted them down the hall, Jessica and Ryan heads bent together in conversation. The sight of my son standing so close to her, nodding at whatever poison she was whispering, made my hands shake. Mrs. Wilson? A doctor approached, chart in hand. Your brother's asking for you. Alex looked small in the hospital bed, tubes snaking from his arms. Hey, sis. He managed a weak smile. Sorry for the drama. Cut the bullshit, I said, closing the door. I know about Jessica's other husbands. His face didn't register surprise, just resignation. How long have you known? Long enough. The question is, how long have you known? He closed his eyes. Since before the wedding. I hired someone to investigate her past after I found some inconsistencies in her story. And you married her anyway? Because I loved her. Love her. He coughed, harsh and wet, and because by then the cancer was already stage 4. The truth hit like a physical blow. You're not just sick, you're dying. 6 months was optimistic. It's spreading faster than they thought. His hand trembled as he reached for water. Jessica knows everything. About her past, about my prognosis. We made a deal. A deal. She stays, plays the grieving widow, gets her settlement. In exchange, she helps secure Ryan's future in the company. My blood ran cold. You're using my son as a pawn? I'm securing his future, my legacy. Alex's voice strengthened with conviction. Ryan has the drive, the intelligence, with Jessica's guidance. Her manipulation, you mean? I leaned closer. She's done this before, Alex. 3 times. And each husband died under suspicious circumstances during divorce proceedings. He waved off my concern. Those were different. She loves me. Like she loved the others? Did you even check how they died? A nurse knocked, entering with medication. I stepped back, watching Jessica slip in behind her, Ryan hovering in the doorway. Everything okay in here? Jessica's voice dripped concern, but her eyes were sharp. Just fine, I replied, matching her tone. Alex was telling me about your arrangement. Something flickered across her perfect mask. Fear? Anger? She recovered quickly, moving to Alex's side. Darling, you should rest. Mom, Ryan started, but I cut him off. Not now. I headed for the door, pausing beside my son. We'll talk about this at home. In the hallway, Tyler waited with Lucas, who had finally arrived. Is Uncle Alex okay? I looked at my younger sons, untouched by Jessica's influence, and made a decision. No, he's not, and neither is your brother. What do you mean? Lucas asked. Through the window, I watched Jessica adjust Alex's pillows, playing the devoted wife while Ryan looked on admiringly. The perfect picture of family devotion, except I'd seen the autopsy reports of her previous husbands. All 3 had died from seemingly natural causes, their symptoms matching Alex's current condition perfectly. It means, I said, pulling my sons close, that we're going to save your uncle and your brother, whether they want to be saved or not. How? Tyler asked. I thought of the private investigator's file, of Jessica's pattern, of my son being drawn into her web. By destroying Jessica before she can destroy our family. The boys exchanged worried looks, but I was already planning my next move. Sometimes, to protect the ones you love, you have to embrace the darkness they're too naive to see. The toxicology report sat unopened on my laptop screen for 20 minutes before I found the courage to click. 3 previous husbands, 3 similar patterns of declining health. Trace amounts of thallium found during the final autopsy of husband number 2, dismissed as environmental exposure. My phone lit up with a text from Ryan. Meeting Jessica for lunch to discuss Uncle Alex's treatment options. Don't try to stop me. I closed the laptop and grabbed my keys, but Mark blocked the doorway. Before you go charging in there, we need to talk. She's poisoning my brother, Mark, and our son is walking right into her web. I know. He held up a manila envelope. The private investigator found something else, about Ryan. Inside were photos. Ryan and Jessica at various restaurants, coffee shops, his hand on her arm, her fingers brushing his shoulder. The timestamps went back months, long before Alex's diagnosis. It gets worse, Mark said quietly. Check the bank statements. $10,000 transferred from Jessica's personal account to a new account in Ryan's name. The date matched Alex's first hospital admission. My hands shook as I dialed Ryan's number. Straight to voicemail. He's not at lunch with Jessica, Tyler said from the stairs, making me jump. He's at the hospital with Uncle Alex. I just got off the phone with Lucas. He's there too. Why didn't they tell me? Tyler's face darkened. Because Jessica convinced them you're trying to sabotage Uncle Alex's recovery. She showed them emails supposedly from you to his board of directors, trying to have him declared mentally unfit. Those are fake. I know, Mom. That's why I hacked her laptop. Mark and I stared at our middle son, who shrugged. What? Someone had to do something while you were playing detective. He pulled out his phone, showing us screenshots. She's been planning this for over a year. The adoption idea? That was Ryan's suggestion, not Uncle Alex's. He and Jessica, they've been having an affair, I finished, the words tasting like ash. Not exactly. Tyler scrolled through more messages. She promised to make him CEO after Uncle Alex dies. Said she could convince the board if Ryan played along with her plan. Mark cursed under his breath. She's manipulating both brothers. 3, Tyler corrected. Lucas is involved too. She's been helping him apply to private schools behind your back, promising to pay his tuition if he supports her story about your mental state. The room spun slightly. I gripped the counter, trying to process the layers of betrayal. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Your brother's condition is deteriorating. Shame about the mix-up with his medication. But then, accidents happen when family members interfere with treatment plans. Mom, Tyler's voice seemed far away. What are we going to do? I looked at the photos again. My eldest son, my dying brother, my youngest being pulled into Jessica's elaborate scheme, each of them thinking they were getting what they wanted, none seeing the poison she was feeding them all. We're going to give her exactly what she wants, I said finally. Mark's eyebrows shot up. You can't be serious. Tyler, can you get into her banking records? He nodded slowly. Already have. She's got offshore accounts under her previous names. Good, because we're going to help her kill my brother. What? Both Mark and Tyler exclaimed. I picked up the toxicology report. She's careful, patient. Each death looked natural because she took her time. But if Alex dies too quickly, with too much poison in his system, the police will investigate, Tyler finished, understanding dawning on his face. And when they do, they'll find the evidence of her previous murders, along with proof that she's been manipulating my children. I turned to Mark. Unless you have a better idea? He studied my face for a long moment. You're talking about letting your brother die to catch her. I'm talking about sacrificing one life to save 3. My voice cracked. Because if we don't stop her now, Ryan will spend years under her control. Lucas will be trapped in her web, and who knows how many other families she'll destroy. Tyler's phone chimed. Ryan's texting. Uncle Alex is asking for you, says it's urgent. I grabbed my keys again, this time with purpose. Time to give Jessica her final performance. You two know what to do. As I drove to the hospital, I tried not to think about how revenge had twisted me into someone who could plot her own brother's death. But sometimes, fighting monsters means becoming one yourself. The family dinner felt like sitting on a powder keg. Alex barely touched his food, while Jessica kept refilling his wine glass with practiced care. Ryan sat at her right hand, playing the devoted nephew, while Lucas sulked at the far end of the table. Only Tyler watched everything with the same calculating gaze I'd come to rely on. The doctors are very optimistic, Jessica announced, her hand resting possessively on Alex's shoulder. The new treatment protocol is showing promise. Which doctors? The words slipped out before I could stop them. The ones who prescribed the medication I found in your drawer? The crystal wine glass in Jessica's hand trembled slightly. I don't know what you're implying. Mom, Ryan warned, but I was done playing nice. 3 previous husbands, Jessica, all dead within 2 years of marriage, all with similar symptoms to Alex's current condition. The silence that followed was deafening. Alex's fork clattered against his plate. That's ridiculous, Jessica laughed, but her eyes were sharp as razors. Ryan, tell your mother she's being paranoid. Ryan cleared his throat. Mom's been under a lot of stress lately. Maybe we should show them the transfer records. I cut in. The ones proving she's been paying you to support her story. The color drained from Ryan's face. Lucas sat up straighter, suddenly interested. What transfer records? Alex's voice was barely a whisper. Jessica stood abruptly, wine sloshing over the rim of her glass. I won't sit here and listen to these accusations. Alex needs rest, not this toxic environment. Sit down. Tyler's command surprised everyone. He pulled out his phone, sliding it across the table to Alex. Everything's there. The offshore accounts, the previous marriages, the suspicious deaths, and the messages between Ryan and Jessica planning how to manipulate you. Ryan lunged for the phone, but Mark caught his arm. "Don't," my husband said quietly. "It's time for truth." Alex scrolled through the evidence, his hands shaking. "Ryan, is this true?" "Uncle Alex, I can explain. He was trying to protect your legacy," Jessica interrupted smoothly. "Unlike some people who only want to tear this family apart. By sleeping with my nephew?" The words hung in the air like poison. Jessica's mask cracked. We never. "The hotel receipts suggest otherwise," Tyler said, his voice cold. Lucas stood up so suddenly his chair toppled backward. "You promised me a future. You said if I helped you, you'd make sure I got into Westbrook Academy." "Lucas, quiet," Ryan snapped, but the damage was done. "All this time," Alex whispered, "while I was planning our future, planning to give you everything, I did it for us." Jessica reached for him, but he recoiled. "Everything I did was to secure our position, our legacy. By poisoning me, like the others?" She froze. "What others?" "The toxicology reports," I said quietly. "From husband number 2. Thallium poisoning is pretty distinctive." Jessica's composure shattered. She grabbed her wine glass and hurled it at me, but Tyler was faster, pulling me aside. The glass shattered against the wall, leaving a blood-red stain. "You've ruined everything," she screamed, advancing toward me. "I had it all planned perfectly." "Mom, stop her," Lucas yelled, but Ryan was already moving, putting himself between Jessica and me. "Don't," he said, his voice breaking. "It's over." The look she gave him could have frozen hell. "You ungrateful little—" Alex's coughing fit interrupted her tirade. He doubled over, gasping for breath, blood speckling his napkin. "Call an ambulance," Mark shouted, rushing to Alex's side. Jessica used the chaos to bolt for the door, but I was ready. As she passed, I grabbed her arm, spinning her around. "You're not going anywhere." Her laugh was hollow. "You think you've won. Look at your family, Maya. Look what your precious truth has done. Ryan's future is ruined. Lucas's dreams are shattered. And Alex?" She glanced at my brother's convulsing form. "Well, the damage is already done. I made sure of that this morning." She twisted free and ran, leaving me torn between pursuing her and helping Alex. The sound of sirens grew closer as I watched my family fracture before my eyes. Ryan knelt beside his uncle, tears streaming down his face. Lucas huddled in a corner while Tyler called the police. Mark caught my eye across the chaos, and I saw my own horror reflected there. We'd exposed the truth, but at what cost? And somewhere out there, Jessica was escaping with all our secrets, all our weaknesses, and nothing left to lose. The game wasn't over. It was just beginning. The hospital corridor stretched endlessly before me as I followed the trail of blood drops, tiny crimson breadcrumbs leading to my brother's room. Alex had collapsed again during his attempted escape, proving Jessica's morning dosage had been particularly lethal. "He's asking for you," the nurse said, but her expression suggested I shouldn't expect much time. Inside, machines beeped in irregular rhythm. Tyler sat in the corner, laptop open, frantically tracking Jessica's financial movements. Mark stood guard at the door while Ryan paced like a caged animal. "Where's Lucas?" I asked. "Gone," Ryan spat, following Jessica's breadcrumbs about some private school connection. "He won't answer his phone." Alex's hand trembled as he reached for me. "The safe," he whispered, "behind the Kandinsky in my study. Everything you need." His monitors screamed. Medical staff flooded the room, pushing us out. Through the chaos, I caught Ryan slipping something into his pocket, a piece of paper from Alex's bedside table. "What did you take?" He met my gaze with Jessica's same cold calculation. "Insurance." "Against what?" "Against you destroying everything Uncle Alex built." He backed away. "You think you're protecting this family? You're tearing it apart." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. The text contained only an address and 4 words. "Lucas says hello, sister dear." Tyler looked up from his laptop. "Mom, Jessica just emptied all of Alex's accounts. Every penny gone." The doctor emerged, his face grave. "We've stabilized him, but the toxicology report shows massive organ failure. Whatever he was given..." We'll kill him, I finished. That's the point. My phone buzzed again. A photo this time. Lucas sitting in what looked like a private school office. Jessica's manicured hand visible on his shoulder. She's at Westbrook Academy, Tyler said, already pulling up the location. But Mom, there's something else. The school's financial director, he was married to Jessica's first victim. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. She's not running. This was her plan all along. Get Alex's money, take Lucas, destroy what's left of our family. Ryan. Mark's shout made us turn. Our eldest son was sprinting down the corridor, Alex's paper clutched in his hand. Let him go, I said, watching him disappear. He's made his choice. What now? Tyler asked. Now? I pulled out my car keys. Now we finish this. Mark, stay with Alex. Tyler, I need everything you can find on Westbrook Academy and Jessica's connection to it. And call the police. Tell them where to find her. Mom, Tyler's voice cracked slightly. What if we're too late? What if Lucas? Don't. The word came out sharper than intended. Your brother's not the only one she's trying to destroy. This is about legacy, about family. She's taken my brother, corrupted Ryan, and now she's using Lucas to complete her revenge. Revenge for what? For being the family she could never have. The realization hit me as I said it. Every husband, every manipulation. She's been trying to create the perfect family, then destroying it when it proves imperfect. My phone buzzed one final time. A video. Lucas staring into the camera, tears streaming down his face. Mom, I'm sorry. She says if you don't bring Alex's new will to Westbrook within the hour, she'll make sure Ryan takes the fall for everything. The affairs, the poison, all of it. She has proof. The screen went black. Tyler's fingers flew across his keyboard. Mom, the police are on their way, but they won't make it in time. I checked my watch. How long can you keep Alex stable? Mark's face darkened. You can't be serious. Jessica wants to destroy our family? Fine, let's give her what she wants. I pulled out my own copy of Alex's will, the one she didn't know about. But this time, we play by my rules. Maya. Mark grabbed my arm. This isn't about revenge anymore. This is about survival. No, I said, shaking him off. This is about justice. For Alex, for her other husbands, for our sons. I headed for the door. Sometimes the only way to protect your family is to be willing to lose them. Behind me, the monitors tracking Alex's heartbeat grew fainter, like a countdown to what was coming. I had less than an hour to save one son, stop another from destroying himself, and prevent a murderer from completing her masterpiece of destruction. And somewhere in the gathering darkness, Jessica waited, thinking she'd finally won. She had no idea what a mother protecting her children was capable of. It was time to show her. Westbrook Academy's empty hallways echoed with my footsteps as I approached the headmaster's office. Through the frosted glass, I could make out 3 silhouettes: Jessica, Lucas, and Ryan. Of course, Ryan would be here. He'd chosen his side. Right on time, Jessica called out as I entered. She sat behind the headmaster's desk like she belonged there, Lucas rigid beside her, Ryan leaning against the window with Alex's papers clutched in his hand. Where's the real headmaster? I asked, though I already knew. Indisposed. Food poisoning, such a shame. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. The will? I placed a manila envelope on the desk. First, let Lucas go. Mom, Lucas's voice cracked. I'm sorry, I thought... Quiet, Jessica snapped. Ryan, verify the documents. As Ryan reached for the envelope, I noticed something odd about his stance. The slight tremor in his hands, the way he wouldn't meet my eyes. He was scared. It's fake, he said after scanning the papers. This isn't Uncle Alex's signature. Jessica's facade cracked slightly. Where's the real will? With the police. Tyler's voice came from my phone in my pocket on speaker, along with the evidence from your previous husband's deaths. They're on their way. You're bluffing. But Jessica's hand slipped into her desk drawer. The headmaster didn't have food poisoning, did he? I took a step forward. He recognized you from your first husband's case. That's why you needed him gone. Mom, Ryan warned, but I kept going. 3 husbands, 3 schools, 3 destroyed families. Always targeting men with sons, always playing the perfect stepmother, until they discovered the truth. Jessica pulled out a syringe, grabbing Lucas. Stay back. That's thallium in there, isn't it? Same thing you gave Alex this morning. Ryan's been helping you administer it for weeks, hasn't he? Lucas struggled, but Jessica held firm. Ryan moved toward them, his face unreadable. You don't understand. Jessica's voice shook. I gave them everything. Every husband, every family. I tried to be perfect, to create something lasting, but they always chose their blood relatives over me. Always. So you killed them? I set them free, and I gave their sons better opportunities, better futures. By manipulating them, by destroying their families, by saving them from mothers like you. She pressed the syringe against Lucas's neck. So protective, so righteous. But you're suffocating them. Ryan understands. Don't you, Ryan? But Ryan wasn't looking at Jessica anymore. He was looking at his phone, at the text I knew Tyler had just sent him. Proof that Jessica had already transferred Alex's money to an account in her name alone, leaving Ryan with nothing. You promised, he whispered. You said we'd build something together, that I'd inherit. Oh, grow up, Jessica spat. You were just like the others, so desperate for approval, so easy to mold. The syringe trembled against Lucas's skin. One push, and my youngest would suffer the same slow death as Alex. Mom, Lucas whimpered, and in that moment I saw my opening. Jessica, I said softly, there's something you should know about the will. She hesitated. What? Alex changed it last week, left everything to you, no conditions, it's in his safe at home. You're lying. Check your phone. Tyler just sent you the proof. As she reached for her phone with her free hand, Ryan moved. In one fluid motion, he grabbed the syringe and pulled Lucas away. Jessica lunged forward, but I was ready. The punch connected with her jaw, sending her sprawling across the desk. That's for my brother, I said as she struggled to rise. And this, I grabbed her hair, slamming her head against the wood, is for my sons. Sirens wailed in the distance. Ryan held Lucas as he sobbed, the syringe safely out of reach. Mom, Ryan's voice broke. I didn't know. I thought... I know. I kept Jessica pinned as footsteps thundered down the hallway. We'll talk about it later. As the police burst in, Jessica started laughing. You think this is over? Your precious family is already destroyed. Look at them. The trust broken, the bonds shattered. I've already won. I leaned close as they handcuffed her. No, Jessica. You just taught my sons what real family looks like. It's not perfect. It's not even always good. But we protect our own, even from themselves. The police led her away, her laughter echoing through the halls like a dying curse. My sons stood together, broken but alive, and I realized that sometimes victory looks a lot like survival. The key felt heavy in my hand as I unlocked Alex's front door. His house still smelled like him, coffee and expensive cologne, but the silence was deafening. The doctors had given him days, maybe hours. Jessica's final dose had done its work. Ryan stood in the doorway of the study, watching me gather Alex's papers. The police want my statement tomorrow. Tell them the truth. I pulled open the safe behind the Kandinsky. All of it. Even about helping her poison him? My hands stilled on the documents. Especially that. Lucas appeared in the doorway, his face tight. They found more victims. 7 husbands, not 3. Different names, different cities. 8, Tyler corrected, joining us with his laptop. Just found another one from 2015. She was getting better at hiding them. The safe's contents spread across Alex's desk like a roadmap of destruction. Bank statements, property deeds, and a letter addressed to me in my brother's shaking handwriting. I knew, I read aloud, about Jessica, about Ryan, about everything. But I thought I could protect them both. Forgive me, little sister. Some legacies aren't worth preserving. Ryan made a choked sound and left the room. Lucas followed, but Tyler lingered. The money's gone, he said quietly. She transferred everything before we caught her. Even with the evidence, it'll take years to recover. I closed the safe. We don't need it. But Uncle Alex wanted family. Real family. Not whatever twisted version Jessica sold him. The front door opened, and Mark's footsteps echoed through the house. Maya? The hospital called. I nodded, unable to speak. We all knew what that meant. There's something else, Mark continued. They found this in Jessica's cell. He held out a crumpled note. The handwriting was elegant, controlled. You think you've won, sister dear? Look closer at your precious family. Ryan wasn't the only one I taught my tricks to. Some poisons take years to surface. Some betrayals never heal. Sweet dreams. Lucas appeared behind me, reading over my shoulder. His face went pale. She's lying, he whispered. I wouldn't. But I saw the guilt in his eyes, remembered the strange illnesses that plagued his brothers over the past year. Small doses, experimental ones. Jessica's teaching methods were thorough. Mom? Tyler's voice cracked. I burned the note in Alex's fancy fireplace, watching Jessica's final attempt at destruction turn to ash. We start over, I said. All of us. No more secrets, no more poison, metaphorical or otherwise. How? Ryan had returned, hovering in the doorway like a ghost. After everything I did, we rebuild, one truth at a time. I turned to Lucas, starting with what Jessica taught you. He broke down then, confessing everything, the small doses, the experiments, the way she made it seem like a game. Tyler held his younger brother while he sobbed, his own tears falling silently. Mark touched my shoulder. Alex is asking for all of us. The drive to the hospital was silent. In the ICU, Alex barely had strength to smile, but his eyes were clear. Did you find it? He whispered. In the safe? I showed him Jessica's note. She tried one last time. Always. Had to have the last word. His laugh turned into a cough. Ryan? Our eldest son stepped forward, tears streaming. I'm sorry, Uncle Alex. You thought you could save everyone. Just like your mother. Alex's hand found mine. The real legacy isn't in the safe. It's in them, even the broken parts. His monitors began to slow. Promise me, he managed. No more revenge, only healing. I looked at my sons, Ryan's guilt, Tyler's quiet strength, Lucas's desperate need for redemption. The poisons in our family ran deeper than Jessica's chemicals, but maybe that's what made us stronger. We knew our darkness, could face it together. I promise, I whispered, but Alex was already gone. Later, standing in his empty study, I found one last note in the safe, written years ago. Family is the hardest poison to swallow, and the only antidote that matters. I left it there, locked away with the rest of our secrets. Some legacies are meant to be buried, while others, the ones written in blood and tears and forgiveness, those are the ones worth preserving, even if they leave scars, especially if they leave scars.